1, 2, 3.
We're here for the launch finally of the beginning of the complete street for improvements along DeKalb Avenue. This project is very, very important. It falls into the category of promises made being promises kept. There's been a lot of charrettes and community engagement around improvements to this district. It's been fits and starts around implementation and scope. We finally have a scope. We finally have allocation of funding. They've selected the contractor. We are finally getting started. This is an important corridor that connects DeKalb County to Atlanta. It connects to Stone Mountain and some other bikes and trails. So this is a very, very important corridor. This is phase one. We're looking forward to having phase two happen in the near future, but we're excited to finally have a start to a very important project.
We are here at Southside Park in my district, of course, District 12. I'm so proud to be out here at this great park, and we do a lot of great things. But what we are here today for is actually another amenity that we've already put in the park of mountain bike trails. I don't know if folks know, but Southside Park is officially a mountain bike trail, the first in the city of Atlanta. So I'm very proud of that. We did that about 2 years ago. But what we're doing today is we've had donors who are actually donating bikes to our kids in our community, who are actually getting ready to train them to do mountain bike, how to ride mountains in a bike trail in Southside Park. Now, mountain biking is different than just riding a bike on the street. You're going up through hills and doing a lot of different things. And so today we have a great sponsor who's actually given us funding for, I believe, 50 mountain bikes. And so we're out here today with our kids celebrating.
Today we're here on Martin Luther King Jr. Drive fighting the blight. We're getting ready to demolish this old abandoned gas station that has been vacant since 2015. As you know, Martin Luther King Jr. Drive has nearly $40 million in streetscapes. We have new sidewalks, we have new lights, we have new art. So we want to make sure that we continue to fight the blight right here at this old abandoned shell gas station that has been vacant since 2015. As my neighbors go back and forth traveling Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, they kept saying, we've got to get it down. We've got to get it down. So I want to thank everyone that played a part, and especially Major Management Company, for coming out and stepping up in this community so that we can rebuild this gas station that will have brand new security cameras. And they have even agreed to hire young people from this very community where I was born and raised.
Two, three, toss.
We're here because to celebrate the groundbreaking for the first dog park in District 4, and not only in District 4 but in Southwest Atlanta, and it's right here in the Mosley Park community. So we're very excited to be here today. It's important to have a dog park for the health of the dog as well as the health of the community. There are a lot of people that they live in inner city, so there may not be enough land, you know, let's say for a large dog, they may not have enough land for a large dog just to run around the backyard or the front yard. And so when you have that dog park, then they can bring the dog to the park and just let them have fun with other dogs. I just really want to thank the Friends of Mosley Park for all of their work over the last 4 or 5 years with their visioning plan and helping us move forward. And Park Pride has just been tremendous in regard to raising monies that have been needed. And the Parks Department, under the guidance of Doug Vaz, has just been tremendous with getting the job done. And Park Design has done a great job with taking the visioning plan and putting it in reality on paper, and then bringing it out here and putting it, making the projects work right here on the ground in this 33-acre space.
This is an exciting day to be able to come out here for this groundbreaking where we are breaking ground on the DeKalb Avenue safety improvements. This project has been in the making for quite a while, and I'm glad that the community gave their input in the beginning for us to even come to this place to get this project started. And then throughout the process, they have always advocated and been very patient. But now today, we're ready to get started on this project, and how exciting it's going to be to have people that motorists that are on this road, cyclists, wheelchairs, pedestrians, will be much safer on a better road that services everyone. This project specifically is about safety. A number of the projects are about creating beautification, making sure the roads are smooth. All that's important, but specifically this project is because we had this reversible lane that has been there for so long that individuals have sometimes had head-on collisions because they didn't know if it was supposed to be going east or west at this time of day. And so it's caused crashes that we can avoid by now having this to be a proper shared lane. And so then we also are going to have protected bicycle lanes that wheelchairs, bicycles, scooters, and others can utilize to stay out of the road. So this is about safety, getting people where they're going each day and where they're going in life in a safe way is going to be critical, whether they're riding MARTA or whether they're just taking a trip.
We are here at Southside Park in my district, of course, District 12. I'm so proud to be out here at this great park, and we do a lot of great things. But what we are here today for is actually another amenity that we've already put in the park of mountain bike trails. I don't know if folks know, but Southside Park is officially a mountain bike trail, the first in the city of Atlanta. So I'm very proud of that. We did that about 2 years ago. But what we're doing today is we've had donors who are actually donating bikes to our kids in our community who are actually getting ready to train them to do mountain bike, how to ride mountains in a bike trail in Southside Park. Now, mountain biking is different than just riding a bike on the street. You're going up through hills and doing a lot of different things. And so today we have a great sponsor who's actually given us funding for, I believe, 50 mountain bikes. And so we're out here today with our kids celebrating.
One, two, three!
Today we're here on Martin Luther King Jr. Drive fighting the blight. We're getting ready to demolish this old abandoned gas station that has been vacant since 2015. As you know, Martin Luther King Jr. Drive has nearly $40 million in streetscapes. We have new sidewalks, we have new lights, we have new art. So we want to make sure that we continue to fight the blight right here at this old abandoned shell gas station that has been vacant since 2015. As my neighbors go back and forth traveling Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, they kept saying, we've got to get it down. We've got to get it down. So I want to thank everyone that played a part, and especially Major Management Company, for coming out and stepping up in this community so that we can rebuild this gas station that will have brand new security cameras. And they have even agreed to hire young people from this very community where I was born and raised.
Even though it's overcast, this is an incredibly exciting day. DeKalb Ave has been a dangerous street on the east side of Atlanta for a long, long time. And I am super excited that we're breaking ground on phase 1 today, making this safer for the neighborhoods that touch it on both sides, for folks who ride MARTA or who cycle down on their way to or from downtown. But I want to underscore that this is just phase 1, that there is unfinished work that we have here. And it'll be important to pass a new T-SPLOS and a new infrastructure bond next spring so we can do the full project and give our residents what they deserve. It's all part of the larger, honestly, the Vision Zero of making sure that no Atlanta resident is injured or dies on our streets. And today's groundbreaking is a step in making sure that that doesn't happen again on DeKalb Ave.
For his work as an accomplished performer, jazz film documentarian, composer, conductor, and historian, and his commitment to jazz education.
Dr. James Hardy Patterson is an institution. He loves Atlanta, and he's given so much to Atlanta and helped us here in Atlanta to uplift and make jazz a part of our lives here in the city of Atlanta. And it was an honor and a privilege to give the proclamation to him today. It was signed by myself and all 15 members of council. And we certainly want to recognize people. We want to give them their flowers while they do. And his are overdue. We should have been proclaiming him a long time ago, but now at this festival, at this time, I think is even more appropriate that he can be with other musicians and be around the spirit and of the movement of jazz around him and in the air. And I think he really appreciated it. We certainly miss coming together. We certainly miss our jazz festival, something that we look forward to every year, sort of a rite of passage for summer. But the fall, going into the fall, it's not bad. It's not as hot, but people are coming out and able to social distance and enjoy good jazz music and fellowship with family and friends and hear the great sounds of jazz. Jazz history means a lot to Atlanta. There are many things that the city builds on, and you think about what brings people to Atlanta, and jazz, and particularly all of the jazz festivals that we have, they bring visitors in from other places. And when people come, some of them want to stay because of the music. I know music brought me to Atlanta. And then some people, they come and they want to continue to visit. And of course that helps our revenue, it helps our city, and it certainly helps Atlanta's brand.
My name is Madeline Archibong, and I am chair of the City Utilities Committee. This is October 26, 2021. I call the meeting to order, and I ask our analyst, Ms. Santana Kemp-Wright, to introduce the members of the committee, please. What happened? Ms. Wright?
Good morning. Yes, good morning. Councilmember Archibong?
Yes, present.
Councilmember Andrea L. Boone? Councilmember Destin Hillis?
Present.
Councilmember J.T. Mazakite?
Here.
Councilmember Joyce M. Shepherd?
Present.
Councilmember Howard Shook?
Aye.
Councilmember Cleta Winslow?
Present.
Madam Chair, you do have a quorum present.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bone. Are you on the line? All right, thank you. Next, please go to the remote meeting statement. Ms. Kempton.
This City Utilities Committee meeting is being conducted remotely as advertised and as in accordance with the official code of Georgia 5014-1. The meeting will be conducted in conformance with Robert's Rules of Order and the Rules of Council as authorized by the City Code. The public may access the meeting by the following conference bridge: toll-free access 404-902-5066, conference ID 151945, which was noted on the Friday, October 22nd public meeting notice. The public may also view the meeting on Channel 26, citycouncil.atlantaga.gov, or the Council's YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter pages via at ATL Council. All presentations are available on the Atlanta City Council City Utilities Committee presentation page. The agenda was published and made available on Friday, October 22nd via atlantacitygA.iqm2.com. Public comment was accepted between the hours of 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. on yesterday, Monday, October 25th. All persons present on the presentation conference bridge are requested to mute your phones and speakers. Additionally, speakers must be acknowledged by the presiding officer prior to speaking. Each council member is requested to open your Outlook, email, and minimize the screen to view amendments, substitutes, and informational documents which were distributed earlier. Thank you in advance for your cooperation.
All right, thank you very much for that. Next order of business is the adoption of the agenda. This will be an electronic vote. I make the motion to adopt. Is there a second?
Second, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. If there's no unreadiness, please let's open the vote.
The vote is open.
Ms. Winslow, how do you vote?
In favor.
Thank you. Mr. Hillis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you.
The vote is closed. 78-0 nays. The agenda has been adopted.
Thank you. Next, approval of the minutes. I make a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second, Madam Chair.
Mr. Masakai Dita. If there's no discussion, please open the vote.
The vote is open.
All right. Ms. Winslow, how do you vote?
In favor.
Thank you.
The vote is closed. 78-0 nays. The minutes have been approved.
Thank you very much. Next public comment. I understand we may have a comment or two. Would you please play the public comment?
Yes, one moment, please.
Greetings, council members and staff, and special greetings to you citizens and voters of Atlanta who are following your government in action. Ben Howard, Senior Advocate, Public Policy Analyst. Now comes the General Manager of People TV with another, quote, People TV update, unquote. You may hear that the third quarter taxes have been paid, but you won't hear how the fourth quarter taxes are going to be paid. You may hear that People TV board meetings are going, quote, just fine, unquote. You won't hear that at the September 15th board meeting, the general manager chose not to put unfinished business on the agenda. You won't hear that the October board meeting was announced to a select few, but wasn't held at all. You won't hear that the general manager is conducting a full-time Granny P campaign to be a member of the Atlanta Board of Education, at the same time he's being paid full-time to bring People TV out of the darkness. You may hear talk about moving People TV to another location. You won't hear any talk about what it costs to move or how much it will cost to make the necessary modifications in the new building. You won't hear anything about the general manager's disrespect for the city's open records request system. You won't hear any talk about any efforts to get those city-appointed positions filled on the programs like NPU on TV can expose trickery like the underhanded methods being used to keep the present NPU chair out of office because he refuses to go along to get along with Antonina Robinson, Carlos Clare, Carlos Jacobs, Burnett L. Scott, Alfred White, Allison Hathaway, Agent X, to be announced soon, Sherry Williams, and the NPUR9 Syndicate.
That concludes public comment, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much for that. Next, moving to G, presentations. The first presentation that we have, number one, is the Department of Public Works for their bi-weekly report. Commissioner Wiggins, are you on the line?
Good morning, Chair Archibald. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Well, thank you. I would like to just provide an update to our last discussion where we highlighted our challenges with the collection of yard debris, and I just would like to provide a few highlights as it relates to our improvements over the last few weeks. Okay, so I'd like to discuss, we also had a presentation and discussion with our NPU chairs that was held on October 14th. We provided an update on the state of yard debris collections and addressed a few questions that they had. I believe the conversation went very well. Also had a very productive discussion with the interim 311 commissioner, Ms. Maisha Good, who has a lot of creative ideas regarding ways to streamline the reporting process for DPW related complaints. As you're aware, Russell and Ed Castro Landscape began working on October 18th. We're very pleased with the results of this program. Both contractors collected approximately 68 tons of yard debris last week. We're very proud of this, as some of our sister cities are experiencing challenges with yard debris, such as the city of Jacksonville. Ed Castro and Russell Landscaping both have received calls from other cities regarding the program to really understand how the program is working out for us. So we're very proud of that. I'd like to discuss the collection strategy for Ed Castro and Russell Landscaping. They will both work approximately 1 to 2 days before the normal collection schedule. So they will be working ahead of our guys just to really remove the amount of standing yard debris. The focus areas will be the northwest and the northeast side of towns, which is our service areas 4 and 5, where we collect 59% of all yard debris throughout the city. We have 5 service collection areas, and the 2 areas is again where we collect the most yard debris. We've done a really good job with getting the removal of standing yard debris taken care of. Each morning we have a meeting where we basically triage the standing yard debris complaints. Proud to say that this morning we did not have any complaints to address because we cleared the active log of standing yard debris. So if anyone is experiencing any challenges with the removal of yard debris, if they have yard debris that has been standing at the curbside for longer than a week or more, please call us so that we can have it removed. Last week, we extended employment offers to 7 temp to perm employees through Georgia Works, which is a local nonprofit transitional work program. And we're also participating in a job fair that will be hosted by Councilmember Winslow and Bond this coming Thursday. We've also established 2 yard trimming drop-off sites. On the south side, we will open the Key Road landfill, and on the north side, we'll open up our North Side Drive facility this coming Saturday. We will distribute more information about the details of the operating hours. We're very excited about that also. Next slide, please. I'd like to go over our challenges although we've had some significant wins over the past few weeks, we're not comfortable with our situation. We know that we're not out of the woods, although we see the light at the end of the tunnel. We will use this recent stabilization of yard waste collections, the time that we've gained from the stabilization to allow us to really go back to the lab and to think both strategically and proactively about the possible worst case scenarios and the surmountable challenges that really lie ahead. We are still dealing with the loss of personnel. We've lost a lot of key personnel through recent and pending retirements. We're working with the Department of the Department of Human Resources to establish a hiring blitz for vacant leadership positions, and we're working on just wrapping up our succession plans to fill those vacant positions. We're also challenged with maintaining a dedicated route assignments. We're still dealing with limited staffing. Ideally, on each truck, we would like to have a 3-person crew, a driver, and 2 workers. Our limited staffing requires us to really juggle a lot of our assignments, which causes us to put drivers in unfamiliar areas. And so we're really trying to stabilize our workforce, and we're seeing significant improvements through the recently approved premium pay that was approved by the Mayor and Council. So we're very appreciative of that. We've seen our attendance levels improve by as much as 10% over the last 2 weeks. We're also dealing with mandatory vacation time that we have to really account for. A lot of our employees are in a use or lose situation as we approach the end of the year. And many employees have also delayed their vacations to help out while we were short of staff. And we also have employees with a significant amount of time, of compensatory time on the books that we have to really accommodate them for. Another challenge that we have is all of our yard trimmings are diverted to a single site on the north side of town. Although it's a robust operation, we still spend a significant amount of windshield time transporting yard waste to that one site. And this is an operation that really needs to be away from any residential use. It's not really an operation that anyone wants in their backyard. And so we're uniquely situated as a solid waste organization. Other organizations such as DeKalb County, they have their own or several yard debris collection sites, and the challenge of dropping off the materials to one site could be very, very challenging. As we have increased overtime, we want to be conscious of cost management. Our tipping fees have increased just by the sheer nature of materials, the amount of materials that we've taken to the landfill and to be processed. We're also have increased our temporary labor. The predictability of the type and extent of yard debris left at curbside is always a challenge. That's our wild card of a service, if you will. Although we have an idea of the amount of tonnage that we anticipate collecting it, in certain areas we are challenged with just really knowing on what days and the size of the materials that will be collected. As we go into the winter months, we're also dealing with the loss of our daylight savings time. So we're really trying to prepare for our days to become much shorter. Maintaining a healthy workforce remains a challenge as our employees work extended hours. It increases the chances of injuries. We're also looking at the health of our equipment and our vehicles. And during this time of stabilization, we'll spend this time with using the time for much needed preventative maintenance on our equipment and vehicles. Next slide. Before I conclude this update, I would really like to thank our solid waste customers for their patience and support as we work through the obstacles associated with these unprecedented times. I would also like to send a huge thanks to the women and men of DPW who have worked tirelessly under adverse conditions. Please show your appreciation for our frontline heroes as you see them working in the community. Lastly, but certainly not least, I would like to thank the CUC, the mayor, and the COO's office for their support and really allowing us to think creatively and implement non-traditional solutions to our challenges. With that, Madam Chair, I will address any questions if you have any.
All right, thank you very much, Commissioner, for that. We have two speakers who've lined up. Councilmember Mazikite, followed by Councilmember Hillis, followed by Councilmember Shepherd. So in that order, please. Mr. Mazikite.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you for the presentation, Commissioner. A couple of questions. One, is there anything else that you need from this body or the full council to help? I heard maybe some comp time has to be used before the end of the year. Is there anything that would be helpful there in extending any of those deadlines? So that's the first question. If you could just let us know your thoughts there.
Councilman Mazikite, I believe at this time that any of our needs that we've expressed, that this body and the mayor and council have been extremely supportive. I can't think of anything at the moment. We're really in a wait and see mode to see if the progress that we have made is sustainable. We feel like it is, but at this time, I can't think of any other tools or resources that we may need.
All right. Second question, a tougher question here. I certainly appreciate the troubles that we were going through and that everyone was going through with the manpower interruptions and being down during COVID. Our customers frankly got their bills at a very much the exact time where this was peaking, and so. Can you speak to, when those bills were for, and if there's any consideration for the unfortunate lack of service that hopefully we've gotten corrected, but if there will be any relief on bills for people paying this fee?
I am not aware, Councilman Mazikite, of any reduction of this solid waste fees. Of course, that would be a question due to the pending litigation that would be addressed by our Department of Law. I will say that we have experienced additional costs associated with covering our staffing issues and the increased tipping fees that are associated with providing solid waste services. But any discussions regarding reduction of fees, I will have to defer to the Department of Law.
Has there been any analysis that you know about in terms of what the total cost to serve is and how that compares to the bills that people received this summer?
Again, I think that would be tied into our rate study, Councilman Mazikite, again, which is associated with our pending litigation, and I believe that should be addressed by the Department of Law.
Okay. I guess I'd like to ask Ms. Wright if she could have a request, or maybe Law is on the phone, if we could make that request to the Department of Law, if they could look into that as well. Is someone from Law Department on the phone?
Good morning. This is Stephanie Grant from the City of Atlanta's Law Department.
Good morning, Ms. Grant. This is Councilmember Mazikite. Did you hear the question that I asked?
I did, sir. I understand that you want the Law Department to make an analysis of whether or not there's going to be a reimbursement of fees associated with the solid waste services. Is that correct?
Yeah, or at least what was the cost of delivery, and how does that, with the increased cost that the commissioner spoke about, factored in, of course, and how does that compare to the bills that were sent out? And question, I guess I should know this, but the bills that were sent out, were they for retrospective service or prospective service?
It probably, I do need to check on that and have someone in the billing department familiar with that, but it's my understanding that the bills are for January to December of each year.
Right. So the bills that we received with our property tax in September, is that for service for calendar year 2021 or for calendar year 2022? That's the question, I guess.
Okay, I'm sorry. From the legal perspective, I am not able to answer that with any accuracy.
Does the commissioner know the answer to that question?
Yes, Councilman Malachi. The fees are for the billing cycle from January 2021 to December 2021.
Okay, so the fees that we just got include calendar year 2021. That's helpful.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, so my question then, back to the law department, is if we could do what was the cost of service, factoring in the fees, and how does that compare to the bill that was just received? So I realize, given litigation, that may be in an executive session, but I think it would be helpful for this body to understand that. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Heller, now.
Yeah, thank you, Chairwoman Archibald. Thank you, Commissioner, for the updates. Would also like to, I guess, get an update on not just the solid waste, yard waste issues, but also the special services that we all pay for. I know with the growing season is coming to a close. However, there are still many city right-of-ways that are overgrown. So just want to make sure, number one, want to get an update as to where we are with that, and two, want to make sure that that's going to continue until all the city right-of-ways are cut down and cleared of litter. So just wanted to get an update on that, and then I have a couple more questions.
Yes, Councilman Member Hillis, we continue to use the strategy of our arterial roads, our major thoroughfares being the priority roads and the collector roads that are connected to the major thoroughfares will be second in line as the order of priority. And the remaining streets will be handled upon complaint basis only. We just simply do not have the amount of resources to cover every street in the city, so we've established a priority to make sure that our high-profile areas and the roads that are connected to our high-profile areas are addressed first. We are also looking at applying growth inhibitors to certain areas to control the growth of what appears to be grass at the time. It's practically weeds. We've cut areas, and the following week, after heavy rain, the grass is up to your knees. And so we're working with our landscape providers to identify roads where we can use the growth inhibitors. So we continue to follow that strategy. And we also have a calendar, I believe, that's posted on our website that will show the roads that are scheduled to be maintained. So that has basically been our strategy.
Okay. Well, definitely keep sending over complaints when I receive them. The next question is, you know, and others know I've been involved in code enforcement and bettering code enforcement for some time. And when we adopted the new rate study, we included a $500 fee for vacant lots because we often find ourselves policing vacant lots of overgrowth and junk trash and debris. And in past years, when code enforcement complaints for vacant lots did not, you know, contain a house that needed to be demoed or something like that and was only overgrowth and junk trash and debris, it would be referred to DPW for cleaning and cutting. I have heard some through the grapevine that is not occurring anymore, and I've gotten mixed reasons as to why that's happening, whether it's a staffing issue. I've heard that DPW is concerned about liability on working on private property, but, you know, the question goes, you know, we established a $500 fee for vacant lots, at least in my understanding, to recover the costs of DPW doing that work. So what is the status of your partnership with APD code enforcement and cleaning and cutting vacant lots that have code enforcement issues?
So we typically assist APD code enforcement with nuisance abatement type activities, unassociated with the $500 solid waste fee. I was not aware that there has been any interruption in that service. I will reach out to Daphne Talley to see if there's any assistance needed from DPW with any of the nuisance abatement activities, but I was not aware that there was any interruption in that service. I'll certainly look into it.
Okay, I appreciate that, and I'll certainly bring that up in public safety as well. Code enforcement has another update as to the status of that partnership and that service. So thanks again, and that's all I have for now. Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you, Chairwoman Archibald.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Now, Ms. Shepherd.
So, thank you. I just want to follow up with Mr. Phillips was saying. So, we're saying that if under vacant lots, the responsibility of it is how it's actually handled in terms of vacant lots. And I also believe with vacant lots, are we actually doing the whole lots, or are we only doing up to a certain footage of vacant lots? Because that's another concern I've had in my community is people saying, well, council members, they came out on this vacant lot, but they only cut maybe up 10 feet back. They didn't cut the whole lot. So my question is, number one is, are you saying that you all as an entity, Public Works is not doing it, it goes up under the umbrella of code enforcement, and they're actually sending someone out to do that? So that was 2 or 3 questions I was asking there. I hope you can follow them.
Yes, ma'am. There are actually 2 approaches. So one is the approach where we will go and cut the right-of-way, which is essentially the city's property, and that's where you may see the first 6 to 10 feet, just depending on the size of the right-of-way that has been cut. And there's also the process of the Department of Public Works assisting the APD Code Enforcement Division with nuisance abatement of vacant properties where they're having difficulties with getting in contact with the owner or compliance from the owner with cutting the properties. And with a judge's order, we will assist APD Code Enforcement with addressing that nuisance. And so if it's high grass or if it's the removal of debris or any other dangerous or nuisance conditions is when we will typically get involved. Did I address your question?
Well, I think it was 2 things. One, the right-of-way. I understand in terms of the right-of-way because y'all have a crew that comes and cuts the right-of-way in that area. But in reference to vacant lots, if we're cutting a vacant, and I think what I heard you say, if it's the right-of-way, you may go in X amount of feet to cut it back, even on private property. But going back to Mr. Hill's questions in terms of the fees for vacant lots, if there's a scenario where there are vacant lots that are overgrown, I just want to understand the process. And I can call Ms. Talia, or you all, if you can't answer this, but you all were saying in that particular scenario, it's turned in as a code violation. Then it goes to the code enforcement department as opposed to you all handling it. And then they actually go through a whole process of a citation and then possibly the court and then say clean it off. And then through that process, you all don't come out and clean it out. Or is that what you're saying? You're saying that this tallyman will get a contractor to come and clean it out, or at any point you all as a department clean off those vacant lots? And if so, the funding in terms of that, how does that work in terms of that funding? In terms of the $500 or whatever, how does that work out?
Councilmember Shepherd, I will actually have to look into how the funding is, how the city is compensated for the work that's conducted on private property that's connected to a nuisance abatement. I'm not sure if, I know there is a reduction in fees for vacant lot owners when they have not had any issues related to code enforcement. But as far as how the Department of Public Works is compensated for the work that's performed, I will have to speak with our staff to give you an exact detail of how that works. I'm sorry, I don't have the fine details of that process.
Okay, I'll get with you and you all can let me know. And I'm interested in seeing what that is. Or we can bring it back to our next update in a couple of weeks. Why don't you bring it back in a couple of weeks? All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Now I have a couple other things. Are police officers still working? Do we still have a strong our street department? Who's over the street officers at this point?
Mr. Josiah Williams, who works under the direction of Kanika Greenlee, directly supervises the suite team. They are still active. I do believe that we have vacant positions on that team that we're looking to fill, but they're very much active and involved in addressing code enforcement issues and investigating complaints of illegal dumping.
Okay, I would like to know how many suite officers we have. And I know it used to be one where there was a breakdown by quarters in terms of who doing what. Can you come back at our next meeting and tell us how the suite officers are deployed and what happens in terms of the suite officers and how many shortages we have?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
And the other thing in terms of trash pickup, like when we have trash pickup just for regular trash, I mean, at one point, you all were saying you're not going to pick up trash if it's outside of the receptacles, the trash receptacles. So if somebody put out 4 or 5 bags in addition to the trash receptacle, are you all picking it up or are you leaving it?
So we're picking up the bags that are outside of the receptacle. However, we do ask if there's anything outside of 1 to 2 bags that a special pickup is arranged. Removing anything outside of those 2 bags that I just mentioned will significantly slow down the collection process. So we will typically ask that a bulk pickup is arranged for anything outside of that amount.
So, but should not the suite officers be looking at some of that? Because I heard from someone saying that somebody, depending on where it is, we may wind up picking up 5 or 6 bags outside the receptacle. So that's putting a toll also on our workers in terms of the fact that they're having to pick up huge amounts of that. And I was just trying to figure out how we can alleviate that. And if that continues, are people getting notices of saying you can't put X amount of trash things outside, or we just kind of let that go and people are just arbitrarily, our workers are just picking it up? Or how are we dealing with that in terms of making sure that we can take care of that and then educating people that this is not what you're supposed to do?
Yes, Councilmember Spin, you're absolutely right. The ergonomics of our employees just bending over and picking up multiple bags is challenging. Our solid waste enforcement team will typically issue a notice informing the customers that, the method of disposal is improper, and to educate them on the proper way to dispose of the materials. And if there is a repeat offense, if you will, it will most likely result in the issuance of a citation. But that is something that our suite officers are charged with investigating.
Okay. Two more questions. One of them is simple. You said that start this Saturday, you're going to have drop-off points for people to do what? Again, is that for leaves and stuff like that?
Yes, it's any yard waste or organic matter. So we have dumpster staged at the Key Road landfill and also our fleet facility on Northside Drive. So we'll put more information out. The hours currently are Monday through Saturday. We're scheduled to open the facilities this coming Saturday. So any form of yard waste we will accept.
Okay. And the last thing, thank you. And the last thing is I've talked to a couple of the workers, the public works workers, and while we gave them a raise, some of them, they haven't got the raise yet. It was interesting, the week after we did that, a couple of weeks maybe after, I was actually out with a cleanup, and I was talking to some of the workers on a community cleanup, and I asked them were they excited about the raise. They said, oh, wait a minute, are you telling us this is really real? Because that was rumors, but we didn't really know if that was really real, that we was going to get a raise. And I said, absolutely. I told them who I was and that we supported that. Then about a week or so, about last week, I talked to someone who says, well, they told us we're supposed to get the raise on our last paycheck, but we didn't get it. So are you all communicating with the workers in terms of when they will get their raise and making sure that they understand what's going on? And when will they get it? We haven't already got it to them. When will it actually go into effect?
Yes, we sent out communications through the Department of Human Resources Commissioner Jeff Norman. We sent that information out yesterday and this morning. We also sent the information through our union representatives, but the pay will be given retroactively starting October 13th and continue through June 30th of 2022. So the Department of Human Resources is working to get our systems configured to account for the pay, and again, it will be issued retroactively beginning the 13th of October.
And I think what I'm saying is, I think we need to tell the workers when do they expect to see it on their paycheck. Because when somebody says it's going to be back starting October the 13th, they're assuming the next paycheck they're going to get it. If they don't get it, they're like, okay, so they told us nothing is happening. So do we need to go back and get with the HR department and say specifically, if we didn't get it, because I know sometimes it takes time for us to change that format in terms of that, but give them a date certain that they know that they will see this money on their paycheck and it will be retroactive. Can you all communicate that to them and get that information out so they know that categorically?
Absolutely. I believe Commissioner Norman is working on that, and as soon as we have that information, we will definitely distribute it to the employees.
But you need to, that becomes disgruntled employees, because I know a lot of the public works workers think that they mistreated anyway. So just make sure y'all are communicating to them in a way that you all know that they on top, that y'all are on top of it, and that, that they will be getting that money. That's all I'm saying. That's all I have.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Boone.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, madam. I am calling to see if we could hear from Commissioner Wiggins regarding the vacuum. We had a demonstration on that. The community over in the Peyton, Collier Heights area did get an opportunity to look at that system, just trying to see if he would brief us on that system and the cost of that system.
Yes, Councilmember Boone, as you mentioned, this past Friday, we met with members of the community to hear their specific concerns as it relates to the control of litter and debris that has collected along the curbside. The initial request for a street sweeper was for a smaller street sweeper that we had some concerns with. The speed of the sweeper would have not been, would not allow us to safely operate the sweeper on larger roads and roads that had speed limits in excess of 15 miles per hour. So the sweeper that we demoed this past Friday is approximately $130,000 to $140,000, just depending on how the equipment is configured. We're looking at another manufacturer of the street sweeper. So we believe that the sweeper that was demoed this past Friday will adequately meet the needs of that particular area of the community. And so the vendor is working up a quote on that street sweeper. And once we have that information, I would be able to provide that information back to you in the committee.
And Commissioner, what's the timeline on that? On the and all of that.
Right. So I just received an email from the vendor this morning and explaining that he's working up a quote, and depending on the configuration of the vehicle will determine the availability. The sweeper that was demoed this past Friday, I believe, could be delivered within 60 days. As you know, with the pandemic, there is a shortage of equipment, and so there is a wait time on certain pieces of equipment. And the sweeper that was demoed this past Friday would be available quicker than some of the other ones that we considered.
Thank you. Can I ask a question as a follow-up to what Ms. Boone was talking about? Of course. So are we contemplating getting sweepers at this point then? Are we going to get these sweepers? And if so, like you were saying, the cost of them, is that going to be something the city would incur? And would that be for all of the city? I know we have them downtown where I think the people downtown pick them up. I don't think we do it as a city. I believe through the CID. But if we do that, how would that work in terms of us trying to roll this out? And then, like you talked about a contractor, would the contractor do it, or we contract it out, or would we, as employees, have them driving it? Can we go into a little more depth if we're contemplating?
Yes.
How would that work?
Well, it's really supposed to just be one, if I'm correct. We're trying out one for our areas, the main thoroughfares, over on like Hamilton, Metropolitan, ML King, and Fairman. We were trying to get it there. The mid does have a different issue.
Yeah, well, I'd like to provide a little clarification. And so, although we're looking at a sweeper and we demoed the sweeper in a specific community, the sweeper will be available for citywide use. However, we needed an additional sweeper to increase the level of service due to the coverage of litter. So the other piece to that is that we're trying to locate a sweeper that does not require a commercial driver's license at the same time. So in order to allocate a piece of equipment to a specific area, it would require it to be a special district, and so therefore the equipment will be used throughout the city, but the area that Councilmember Boone has referenced, we recognize that we do need to provide additional service just because of the heavy coverage of litter. Our concern is the litter impact on our wastewater system. So that was the intention behind doing the demonstration in that particular area.
I mean, I think the idea is a great idea. I was just trying to look at, number one is the CDL drivers, who pays for it, how do we do it? And I would tell you, I know that once this happens in one area of the city, guess what's going to happen? Even if I did it on Metropolitan Parkway, Andrea, then my other folks in other parts of my district who have just as much trash, they're going to be saying, well, why y'all just got it over there and you don't have it over here in our neighborhood? Why you got it over here and don't have it over there? So I think it's good, and I think it's great you're piloting it. I just think that we're going to have, what we're getting ready to do is open up something that we're going to have to begin to plan on how we're going to do it. We're going to do it. There's a lot of people in all parts of the city, so we got the same problem. And I kudos to you for looking at that and doing it. I just know that it's going to turn into something else. But I think piloting in that area is great. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Boone, that concludes your questions or comments?
Yes, we just need to schedule so that everybody can benefit from this very, very valuable equipment, the vacuum. Thank you.
No, thank you. And Commissioner, I would add, this is something that I say frequently. If we're going to your point, utilize equipment, and this is an innovative and different way to approach it, and I think it's very good. But if we allow for vehicles to be in the right of way and we're not able to do a thorough job, we're really just going through an exercise with reduced success. And so I've asked for signage or some sort of, if we need to amend our code of ordinances to authorize issuance of tickets or something. If this is as important as we know that it is, then we need to be serious about how we street sweep. So would love to, not today necessarily, but as this progresses, understand what approach the department's going to take to ensuring that we get from curb to curb the benefit of this in all street sweeping equipment. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Understood.
All right, and then other thing I wanted to commend you. You have not been with the city very, very long, but as long as I've been had the pleasure of working with you, you've been a man of your word, and you have worked diligently to address what was a very, very, and hopefully it has ended, but a very, very challenging situation. And so I commend you, and I thank the men and women who are under your leadership for the job they have done. I'm particularly impressed at the hiring of the Georgia Work crew. That is just amazing. I have utilized them in District 5, and that's just a wonderful way when we talk about income inequality in the city to have someone who works with sometimes it's homeless people who are stepping their way up. And so now to step into full-time employment with the city of Atlanta, I just think that's just an amazing story, and it's the kind of thing we want to hear more and more of as we move forward. And my last thing is, as we look at the fact that the citizens have been put out about this, upset, have felt that they were not getting what they were entitled to, have you thought about including in the water bill maybe a letter, or I don't know if you need to go on the apology tour, but something that shares with the community a bit of the journey and a bit of the progress moving forward and reaffirming the commitment to providing excellent services in the future. Just want to throw that out as a
Yes, ma'am. I can say that we have thought about placing that information into the water bill, which I think is an excellent idea. But we really wanted to get out of the woods, if you will, to make sure that we stabilize our yard debris collection operations before we really highlighted the work that went behind standing the service back up. But I will certainly take your advice and work to get that information put and one of our upcoming water bills.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I wasn't suggesting the time frame, just the idea of how to do it. I agree with you. It'd be awful to say, yep, we apologize and we turned a corner, and then there'd be some unforeseen hindrance that would prevent you from optimally utilizing all the things that you have put in place, this emergency contract. Now, how long is this emergency contract for?
The contract is scheduled to run for a period up to a year. And so we are really looking at the upcoming leaf season, and as we go into the spring also, we anticipate that we still may need the additional staffing as the growing season resumes this coming spring. So we decided that 12 months would be an appropriate amount of time for the service.
Okay, well, I will follow up with our chief procurement officer. At some point, an emergency is not an emergency; it's become routine, and maybe we need to do it differently. So I would like to understand emergency versus just a procurement that we're offering to the public to bid and compete for. So I'm happy that we've got this emergency service in place. Just wondering about when is an emergency no longer an emergency. So.
Understood, and we're actually working on that, and also our emergency procurement for staffing. So you're absolutely right. We're looking further down the road and looking at what needs we may have on an ongoing basis.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. A lot of these things will be addressed in your next report and report to ongoing updates. Thank you very much. One more call, colleague. Anyone else with any questions? Okay. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Right. All right. Our next item is People TV. Is Ms. Clayton or someone from People TV on the phone?
Yes, I am. How you doing, Councilman Archibald? Archibald.
Yes, I'm well. Thank you. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. Greetings to everybody. I've got my report. I hope you got it in front of you. This is People TV Quarterly Report. Today's date is October the 26th, and I am Patricia Creighton. Now, on the governance part, I do want to emphasize this because we are short board members, and People TV is governed and managed by the board of directors, and we have 4 vacancy positions that the mayor and the city council are empty. The People TV board, we have 7 members on board right now, and we need board members that are committed to public access and have time to help the station raise money and stabilize. As of our September meeting, we had 2, 4, 5 members. We had a quorum for the meeting. Corey Tinsley and Stetson White were not present. Ron Shakir is now on leave because he's running for city council, so he wasn't there. Our finances, currently today our balance is $13,047.40. And due to the fact that we completed the contract agreement between the city and People TV Inc., the pay schedule was changed from semi-annual to an annual payment in March. And I didn't understand that until I was expecting a payment in July. And I was told that since we had gotten the full amount in March 2021, we would not get another payment until 2022 March. And this and the fact that the effect of the COVID virus has diminished the number of paid live shows down to 1. We got 1 paid live show this season. Pre-recorded shows, we had 5 pre-recorded shows. And our class had 1 person in it, and we also had 1 that graduated from the last class. We were not able to pay the rent. We have not been able to pay the rent since August because it would take up all of our funding. We wouldn't be able to pay any other bills. Now we stand to owe Selig Enterprises $37,103.07. This includes late charges that our lawyer are actually working to get taken off, hopefully. Let's see what else we got here. Continue with our finances. We are executing an agreement with the back pay that we didn't receive during the negotiations of the contract. They totaled over $180,000, but we negotiated to accept $105,000, and that had a provision that stated the agreement would be presented on October the 15th to full council, but there wasn't a full council meeting on the 15th, so it also included a time of essence provision that meant that we needed to act swiftly. Now I'm understanding that the city did not present the agreement in October the 15th, and they are now saying that the first read is November the 1st, and the final approval will be November the 2nd because we have to do 2 readings. I understand this is full council, so I'm asking that we get your support from everybody on the Utilities Council for this payment, or People TV doors will be closing after that $13,000 is gone. Let's see what else I got. Programming. Live streaming is up and running again. And I've been told that it looks good and stronger than it had before. We are still having difficulties with Facebook Live and YouTube. We have not had a breakdown of equipment since May 21st. I'm proud of that. And People TV has reopened our internship program to fill any void presented by the lack of cash flow to get some help. Della Brooks also works on a need-to-be situation with around here at the office. Now, we just took a 2-week break between seasons to have the hardwood floor stripped and polished. Carpet throughout the building has been cleaned and sanitized. Mold has been removed in different parts of the building, and we do that in a timely manner throughout on an ongoing basis. My top priority is keeping the station safe. It still is my top priority. What else I got? I attached the reports, the profit and loss report, the general ledger, quarterly report, and the balance sheet. They are all attached to this report. Now, we still have the unhealthy conditions in the building, renting the building to projects of different producers. I've had one I had to turn down because they wanted to bring 60 to 75 people in the building, and I wasn't comfortable with that with the virus going on. So I actually turned them away, and I regret that. But anyway, like I said, safety is number one, so that's why I turned them away. Now, the internship will start the 15th of November, and we also will open up producers retraining on the TriCaster, which I normally do that now whenever they come in and ask questions or want to be retrained. I try to train them on the spot. It's not that difficult with the TriCaster. Alrighty, I think I don't have anything else. I'm open to questions. I put my contact number for the office. Our office hours are 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and I will take appointments and if somebody want to produce something on the weekend. Thank you.
All right. Colleagues, any questions for Ms. Creighton? All right. Well, I have one. In looking at the information that you send on your monthly expenses and the like, I don't see office rent on here or office-based rental costs.
The rent, you talking about the rent, how much the rent is?
I'm saying, why isn't it reflected?
Those reports I pulled up from QuickBooks, I guess because we haven't paid any rent this quarter.
So is anyone on your board, your finance chair?
Our treasurer is Kelvin Bismill.
All right, I suggest you and your treasurer get together. I know Mr. Mazzacai is a CPA. He hadn't weighed in, but I had a hard time with the accuracy of the information being reflected there. So, anyway.
I need to know exactly what you need me to do.
It needs to be accurate.
You said you wanted the rent reflected on the profit and loss for the reports, for the financial reports.
The financial report needs to be accurate. The fact that the rent isn't included is an indication that there is at least that one inaccuracy. So I'm saying you need to go back and make sure you're issuing an accurate report. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, great, thanks. I understand that we have Attorney Islam on the call. I have a question for the attorney, please.
Good morning. Mr. Islam here.
Good morning, sir. As part of Ms. Creighton's presentation, she mentioned some October deadline that was missed, and now the legislation won't be before us until the November cycle. Can you speak to that?
I cannot speak to it if it was missed. I do know that we had a provision when we agreed upon the amount to present it forthwith. It has gone through the administration, and due to different delays, it is now in ELMS and will be presented at the next committee meeting.
Not a breach of contract, that's just what is.
What's that? I'm sorry, what you said?
How pivotal is the lack of meeting that October deadline?
I mean, I would say that's subjective. I'm not sure I can respond to how pivotal it is. I would say, like I said, we were presented, several drafts were presented. It was reviewed by People's TV Council. It was signed off on, and then it was submitted to the administration, and now it went through the process of getting the legislation passed or presented.
Okay, so this is not a contract term. This was something that the parties agreed to as sort of a frame of reference for when things would be resolved.
Correct.
Oh, okay. All right, that's another contract term. All right, and then as it relates to the outstanding rent and the solvency of People TV, how critical from a legal perspective and from the city's perspective is that condition, that financial condition?
I can't speak to their financial solvency or their aspect. All I know is when I became involved, there was a period about 6 months from June through February-ish of June 2020 through February 2021 when there was no payment received, and that's what I was attempting to resolve.
I see. Okay, in that limited space. Okay, have we seen actual contracts and would be attached?
What did you say? I'm sorry.
Will the contract be attached to the legislation as through ELMS?
The legislation is a ratification because from 2013 there was no contract. So there was a pre-existing contract in 2013. It was expired, I believe, in 2014, and then there was regular payments being made. But in the fall of 2020, payments were not being made as there was a new contract being entered into. And in the time that it took to enter the new contract, there was no payment being made. That's what the agreement was to pay.
Okay, so thank you, sir. Maybe this is a question for Ms. Kempson-Wright. Will that contract be available for the council as part of the legislative process?
Typically, the entire contract is not attached. There may be a working draft or the specific scope from the Department of Procurement that we could be attached to it.
Okay.
I'm sorry. For clarity, there is a contract in place now. The current contract in place expires March of 2022.
Okay, so this is relative to the disbursement. You were negotiating with People TV's attorney around when to disperse. Talk to me about why there was a negotiation.
Because there's a ratification of services that were performed last fall, and there was not payment made.
Until there was satisfactory. Okay. You had to confirm that they were provided, in other words.
Say that again?
You had to confirm that the services had indeed been provided.
Yes, they were provided.
Okay. All right, great. Okay. Thank you very much. Any other questions, colleagues? Okay. All right. Great. Thank you very much, Ms. Creighton. We look forward to your next presentation and having the financials updated accordingly.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Ms. Kempton, right, we're ready for our first reads, I believe.
Madam Chair, we have two communications first.
I forgot about that, and I understand one person is available and one, please proceed.
Item number one is 21C0140, a communication from Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, reappointing Ms. Kenyatta Mitchell to serve as a member of the Keep Atlanta Beautiful Commission. This appointment is for a term of 2 years.
All right, on the call?
She is not.
All right, so I make a motion to, should we hold this in the committee or send it to a committee on council? What do you understand from Ms. Mitchell?
She had planned on being in attendance, so I'm assuming another meeting may have come up that conflicted with this time. It is a reappointment if you wanted to send it forward to committee on council, and we could make sure she has the access to just make remarks at the full council during the committee of whole for CLC.
I'll make that motion. May I have a second?
Second, Hill.
Second, Winslow. All right. Mr. Hillis has seconded it. If there's no unreadiness, let's please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Ms. Winslow, I heard you. How do you vote?
In favor.
Thank you. Shepherd, aye. Thank you.
Councilmember Burns. The vote is closed.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I'm sorry, we see her. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable and will be forwarded to committee on council.
All right, thank you.
Item number two is 21C0141, a communication from Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, reappointing Ms. Yvonne Douglas to serve as a member of the Keep Atlanta Beautiful Commission. This appointment is for a term of 2 years.
All right, is she on the line?
Yes, I am. Good morning, Council.
Good morning. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and why you'd like to serve.
Yes, well, my name is Yvonne Douglas. I am a proud resident of the Cross Creek community in West Midtown in Atlanta. And I have, this is a reappointment for the Keep Atlanta Beautiful Commission. And I am honored to continue to do the work to ensure that we are getting out into the community, ensuring that the residents and our visitors to the city know that we take pride in ensuring that our city is clean, that we are recycling, that we provide opportunities for the community to give back, like participating in adoptive spots, participating in the annual Christmas tree event, where you can bring your tree, your outdated holiday trees, holiday trees, to be grounded and chipped and turned into mulch that can be used to preserve and secure our grounds. So I'm very honored to be reappointed again and serve the Keep Atlanta Beautiful Commission.
Well, thank you very much for that. You're very enthusiastic, and that is just so refreshing, and we thank you for your service. I will entertain the motion.
Thank you.
Phyllis made the motion, and who seconded it?
Shepherd, she does a great job. I'm on the board with her. She does a great job.
Awesome. I can really tell that. So thank you. Any questions for Ms. Douglas? Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Ms. Winslow, how do you vote?
In favor.
On the system, I can't tell.
Boom, yes.
Thank you very much. Okay.
The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable.
Thanks to the proceed to Committee on Council and full council next week. Thank you very much again for your service.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Simpson-Wright, next.
Next is the consent agenda items for first read. Item number 3 is 210821, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee to ratify services rendered in connection with CCPRP 7701A, Care and Conserve Plumbing and beginning October 6, 2021, to authorize the mayor designee to execute the First Amendment to the agreement to extend the retroactively effective from October 6, 2021 to a date no later than October 5, 2022, on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management in accordance with Section 21163, Section C of Article 10, Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, and to have funding in an amount not to exceed $700,000 and 0 cents. Item number 4 is 210822, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the fiscal year 2022 water and wastewater renewal and extension fund budget in the amount of $12 million and 0 cents to transfer funds from watershed reserves for appropriations and add funds to the capital improvement architectural and engineering project. Item number 3 is 210823, an ordinance authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the fiscal year 2022 water and wastewater renewal and extension fund budget in the amount of $873,200 and 0 cents to transfer funds from watershed reserves for appropriations and add funds to the Custer Avenue Capacity Relief Project. Item number 6 is 210824. It's an ordinance authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the fiscal year 2022 water and wastewater extension fund budget in the amount of $2 million and 0 cents to transfer funds from watershed reserves for appropriations and add funds to the facilities management project. Item number 7 is 210825. An ordinance authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the fiscal year 2022 water and wastewater renewal and extension fund budget in the amount of $1 million and 0 cents to transfer funds on area plant maintenance project. Item number 8 is 210826, an ordinance authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the fiscal year 2022 water and wastewater renewal and extension fund budget in the amount of $7 million to transfer funds from watershed reserves for appropriations and add funds to the plant capital maintenance project. Item number 9 is 210827, an ordinance authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the fiscal year 2022 water and wastewater renewal and extension fund budget in the amount of $24,030,000 and 0 cents to transfer funds from watershed reserves for appropriations and add funds to the sewer project Group 5 capacity relief Eastside PTC Basin Project 2B. Item number 10 is 210828, an ordinance authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the fiscal year 2022 water and wastewater renewal and extension fund budget in the amount of $29,915,000 to transfer funds from watershed reserves for appropriations and add funds to the sewer Group 6 capacity relief Utoy Creek Basin 1A project. Item number 11 is 210829, an ordinance authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the fiscal year 2022 water and wastewater renewal and extension fund budget in the amount of $6,675,000 to transfer funds from the watershed reserves for appropriations and add funds to the sewer Group 6 capacity relief Utoy Creek Basin 1B project. Item number 12 is 210830, an ordinance authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the fiscal year 2022 water and wastewater renewal and extension fund budget in the amount of $16,821,000 to transfer funds from watershed reserves for appropriations and add funds to the sewer Group 6 capacity relief Utoy Creek Basin 1C and 1D project. And item number 13 is 210831, City Utilities and the Chief Financial Officer to amend the fiscal year 2022 water and wastewater renewal and extension fund budget in the amount of $1,300,000 and 0 cents to transfer funds from watershed reserves for appropriations and add funds to the sewer Group 6 capacity relief Utoy Creek Basin North Utoy truck cleaning assessment project and for other purposes. That concludes all first reads.
All right, thank you, Simpson-Wright. Let's go to the next section. Regular agenda.
Item number 14 is 210719. It's an ordinance by Councilmember Stephen R. Hillis Julian Bond, I'm Ben, Marcy Collier Overstreet, Carlin Smith, Matt Westmoreland, and Ivory Dickens to amend Chapter 74 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Atlanta by adding a new Article 6A to the entitled Chattahoochee Trail Flood Area Regulations with new Section 74-275 through and including Section 74-283 and to rezone specific parcels from heavy industrial to industrial mixed use for the purpose of modifying the existing city limitations on floodplain development for a portion of the former Atlanta Industrial Park property between Donnelly Hollow Parkway and I-285 to be consistent with federal and state laws so as to allow an adaptive reuse and to build units specifically for affordable housing and for other purposes.
Who's on the line to speak to us about this paper?
So this is Councilmember Hillis.
Yes, sir.
And I would, I guess, first like some clarity as to why this has been now referred to city utilities when this is clearly a rezoning paper. I mean, it rezones properties from heavy industrial to high mix, and this committee doesn't do that. So is this a dual referral, or why is this in front of us now?
Ms. Wright, I do know that, yes, I know that there's been some changes to what the project may entail. So, Ms. Kimson Wright, do you know how it got over to our committee?
Yes, the legislation was rerouted from the original routing. There was a substitute that was requested because the focus was solely to focus on the intent of the floodplain amendment. And I guess that's Article 6A, the Chattahoochee Trail Proctor Creek Flood Area Regulations, and was to remove all components dealing with the zoning piece.
Well, we haven't received that substitute, correct? Right.
You're correct, Councilmember. We haven't received a substitute.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion to hold until I can get some more clarity on this.
I second that motion. Any unreadiness? Any unreadiness? If not, let's please vote on that motion.
The vote is open.
Ms. Winslow, how do you vote?
In favor.
Thank you. Ms. Boone?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is held in committee.
Well, go to the next one, please.
Item is 210779, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee to ratify services rendered in connection with Agreement FC 1190024, Green Infrastructure Design Challenge, Chastain Park with R2T Incorporated, beginning August 12, 2021, and to authorize the mayor or her designee to execute the First Amendment to the agreement to correct the name of the contractor and to extend the term of the agreement retroactively effective from August 12, 2021 through January 31st, 2022 at no additional cost on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management in accordance with Section 21163, subsection C of Article 10, Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances and for other purposes.
All right, who's on the line that can talk to us about this? Mr. Hill? Is Todd Hill? Hi, good morning.
Okay. Good morning, Madam Chair and council members. Todd Hill, Department of Watershed Management. The purpose of this project is to maximize infiltration and storage in the project area in Chastain Park, upstream of the area called Hamburger Pond. And the project has experienced delay because the design duration needs more time to allow for coordination and review of items with DWM, including improvements to existing infrastructure, cost feasibility, and minimizing impacts to existing park amenities. Further, it was necessary to extend the public comment and engagement period because there was a problem with the consultant's project website causing some public feedback to be lost. This legislation is asking for an amendment allowing at no cost 172 days beginning August 12th, 2021 through January 31st, 2022. And I'm available for questions.
All right, thank you, colleagues. Any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Shook approval. Second, Hillis.
All right, it's been moved by Mr. Shook, seconded by Mr. Hillis. Colleagues, are there any questions or unreadiness? If not, would please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Ms. Winslow, how do you vote?
In favor.
All right, thank you.
The vote is closed. 78 nays. This item is favorable.
All right, thank you.
Okay. We're under resolutions. Item number 16 is 21R4116, a resolution by Councilmember Carla Smith authorizing the mayor or her designee to execute an agreement with the State of Georgia Department of Human Services, Division of Family and Children Services on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management for the purpose of accepting and applying federal funds to water and sewer accounts to assist low-income households eligible for the Low-Income Household Water Assistance Program. All funds received will be deposited into and paid from the fund department organization and account number listed and for other purposes.
All right, thanks. Someone on the line who can talk to us about this?
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, who is this, please?
Good morning, Madam Chair and council members. This is Jonathan Williams, Interim Deputy of Financial Administration, Department of Watershed.
Yes, sir, please.
Yes?
I'm sorry, saying yes, please go ahead. Thank you.
Sure. In March of this year, Congress allocated funding to create the Low-Income Household Water Assistance Program, or LIWAP. This program provides temporary emergency financial assistance to water and wastewater customers impacted by COVID-19 and is managed by the Federal Department of Health and Human Services. $37.1 million has been allocated to the Georgia Division of Family and Children Services, or DFACS. This funding provides bill payment assistance associated with non-payments through local not-for-profit agencies. The amount provided to each customer will be determined by Fulton Atlanta Community Action Authority and Georgia DFACS, with the funds provided to Watershed for application against the customer's bill. On November 1st, this program will begin by specifically targeting customers with the largest age balances. By January 1st, 2022, the program will be expanded to focus on customers who are over 60 or have children who are under 5 years old and were not included in the November 1 rollout. This legislation allows the mayor to sign a memorandum of understanding post-haste with the Georgia Department of Human Services to partner with the nonprofit and to execute this program for the November 1st implementation. That concludes my remarks. Are there any questions?
Colleagues, are there any questions?
Chuck, please approval.
Thank you. And let me ask you a question, please. So how does this potential funding overlay with the ending of the mayor's moratorium and the fact that set-off will be scheduled at some point in the future?
Well, this would help specific customers who are going to be shut off stop that action. I believe the moratorium ended in April of this year, and thus far we are still focused on trying to collect our accounts without shutting people off. But we're moving towards a plan that says, all that has to come to an end at a certain point. But these funds could certainly be overlaid on those accounts and provide a methodology for people not to get their water shut off.
So then there would be a communication to customers who who would benefit potentially from this. The department would proactively alert them, or how does that work? How will that work?
We would be proactive in sharing that information with folks, and this incidentally does not impact their ability to also use Care and Conserve. We'll make it known to folks that these programs are available to them so that we can apply the dollars and the resources effectively.
All right, great. That sounds awesome. Any other questions? If not, please open the vote.
The vote is open.
All right. Ms. Winslow, how do you vote?
In favor.
Thank you.
Okay. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable. Item number 17 is 20. Oh.
You go ahead and share the meeting. Right.
Item number 17 is 21R4121, a resolution by the City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor or her designee to exercise the first renewal option for the intergovernmental joint funding agreement, intergovernmental grant agreement S1210119, long-term water quantity and water quality monitoring program services with the United States Geological Survey on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management for a term of 1 year, effective from January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2022, in an amount not to exceed $449,610.00. All contracted work will be charged and paid from the fund, department, organization, and account number listed herein and for the purposes.
Awesome. Mr. Hill, are you still on the line?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. This contract is for the jointly funded Department of Watershed Management USGS monitoring station. This contract enables DWM to collect and view real-time stream water quality data. And this monitoring network has been in place since 2002, so that's 19 years running that this has been in place where we've had this ability to get real-time data. And the monitor station data is used by DWM, our contractors and our consultants, for supplement to our DWM's rainfall monitoring, real-time camera on Peachtree Creek, for our watershed protection plan, to evaluate the effectiveness of stormwater and green infrastructure programs. And it actually provides spill and illicit discharge incident detection. That's trigger sampling that we can catch real time to alert us that there's a spill and allow us to prevent major spills. Provide real-time flood stage emergency monitoring. A lot of our residents that live in the floodplain actually monitor the stations closest to their house to know what the flood stage elevation is, so they can be prepared if there is any flooding from any of the nearby creeks. Provides area-wide context for other DWM monitoring programs, and also provides drought and water availability monitoring during drought situations. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for questions.
All right. Thank you, colleagues. Any questions? I don't see anyone in the queue. I make a motion to approve.
Second, sure.
All right. Seeing that there are no questions, please open the vote. Ms. Winslow, how do you vote?
In favor.
Thank you.
The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable.
All right. Are there any other legislative matters to be considered today?
There are no other items, Madam Chair.
Okay. Any announcements or anything for the good of the order? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right. Without objection, we stand adjourned. Thank you very much. Good meeting.